Well, you're with me again, Ranma, UnME Digital Magazine, Thailand, with another edition of We Stories with We Motorsports. I am in the Chonburi province, right? I'm in the Chonburi area in, I think, south of Pattaya, a little bit south of Pattaya, at the Bira go-kart racetrack, right? Which is a part of the Bira circuit. Which is Chonburi's largest and most prominent, racetrack. I have the honor to interview the organizer and one of the main people involved with the Singha group and the Singha Kart Cup for this year, which is where I'm at. They basically are competing. Now, the reason why I'm here, right, it isn't because I am following this, following that. I find it very, very, very interesting that go-karts in Thailand have something to do with race cars, as in actual race cars, like Ferraris, GT3, GT4, GT circuits, one make race, whatever title you want to put on it. For some reason, it all comes right back to go-karts, right? So, I'm about to get to the bottom of this, and then I'm about to figure out, why, go-karts have anything to do with the race cars. So first, with no further ado, let me introduce Mr. Carlo, right? Mr. Carlo, now, I didn't quite catch your last name. What was your last name, my friend?
Van Damme.
Van Damme, wow. Are you in any way related to?
It's my uncle.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. I was about to get an autograph right about now,
I just say that to scare off people.
Just to scare off people, right? And, he's made a comeback with the Expendables 3. I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, Mr. Van Damme.
Just call me Carlo.
Mr. Carlo, I have a lot of questions, right? First things first is, I want to set, let the audience know, where are we? What are we doing here? Okay, this is a go-kart. This is the Singha Kart Cup, right? What is it all about? What are we doing here?
Well, basically, go-kart is the grassroots for any racer,
okay,
just to start. And as working for Singha Corporation, where we have been involved in the past with Formula One, or we're still involved, Formula One, MotoGP, sponsor many other racing drivers, we thought 5-6 years ago, let's do something for the kids. That's where it all started, like you said. It's on this circuit today, you'll see the future stars there.
Right.
You might not know it, but I myself raced in go-kart against guys like Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, this same generation who are now dominating Formula One. And yeah, this year we have another year of the Singha Kart Cup, where we get where we pre-select kids from all around Thailand, and the best ones get invited. It's a bit like The Voice Kids, but then for racing drivers. And the best ones get invited to race in our series. And we're here at as you said, the best go-kart track in Thailand, at the Bira circuit, for basically the last round of the Singha Kart Cup.
Okay.
One of the good things is our ambassador, which usually comes once a year to Thailand for the series, is Formula One world champion star Kimi Räikkönen.
Oh wow.
But obviously during the COVID situation, he hasn't been able to come, but he has already been here 4 years actually cheering these kids as well. So
nice.
It's a quite a unique program we do, not only in Thailand, but I think even in the region and even in the world, for young kids who want to become a racer.
Perfect. Now you've got me off to a jump start. Okay, so first question of the day. Where do we select these kids? How do we select these kids?
So we have chosen the Impact Speed Park in Bangkok, in Lanthaburi.
Okay.
There's another go-kart track there.
Okay.
Where all the kids can come and try to put a lap time down on their rental cars.
Those kids, who are those kids? Where do they come from? Do you know anything about them?
So basically we just say 7 to 10 years old with a Thai...
7 to 10, as in like yay high off the ground?
No, like a year, like age.
Okay.
So and we basically only ask if they have a Thai ID passport.
Okay.
Because we are focused on helping the new Thai generation succeed in motorsport.
Yeah.
And we do some recruitment, we go around schools, shopping malls, but the word does come out quite quickly, and nowadays with the social media it just
Really?
goes around.
You actually go around the schools and the shopping malls and you ask these kids, I mean, what if these kids, do they have to have a lot of money to be involved with go-karts?
Well, definitely it's a very expensive sport. The way we set it up, the Singha Kart Cup, it's like a one-make series. All the karts, all the engines are the same.
Okay.
So there's no like a big tuning or development going on to keep the cost low. And it's heavily supported by our sponsors. So relatively it's cheap, but you're still talking about a normal weekend is around 20,000 baht, where these kids have to run. But our series is way more affordable, and moreover will support the winner get the prize money. They get to race in our Rock Cup, which is another go-kart series we organize here.
Okay.
So we really try to help them, but eventually there is a limiting factor most of the time in motorsport, that is money.
It's motorsports in Thailand is very expensive. You know, in order to be a quote-unquote race car driver, you might not have to be, you know what I mean, born with a gold, you know what I mean, shifting sense. But you might have to be born with a gold spoon in your mouth, you know, sometimes, because it's very, very expensive. Now, the question that I have, you know, I come from the States. I'm predominantly from California, from Southern California, San Diego. And, you know, despite, you know, popular belief that, you know, people from the United States are like well off and all that, you know, we have our share of poverty. And I've grown up, you know what I mean, along the roads and along the, you know, I've been there, you know what I mean? So I have a question, being like, what if the kid has talent, but the kid has no money? What do they do? How would they be able to come to Singha and showcase their talent? How would they get themselves to get to know you? You know what I mean? Or have you see them, you know what I mean, as, you know what I mean, a potential guiding light? How?
Well, you know, the chance, the opportunities are limited, but there's many of different examples, and I think that's why talking about Kimi Räikkönen is a great example, because I know him from a very long time.
Yeah.
He came from a very poor family in the middle of Finland, where he only could maybe drive in the snow, and eventually he caught the eye of people racing go-karts in Europe, and then he got sponsorship. So if you do really well, you know, and there is a Sing, obviously, a Sing Corporation who sponsor, but there's other companies or individual people with teams. And if you really stand out, there can be people to help you. So you really got to be there, right time, right moment.
That reminds me of Jack. Jack is like that too. Jack,
yes.
Yeah, Jack Lemvar. You know, another very, very, very talented driver, you know, in the Thai series. You know, he grew up the same way, you know?
Yes, for sure, and you just need to be at the right spot, and then you need a bit of luck on your side. But I think that's with everything as well.
That's right.
So we try to really create a level playing field where at least at this age, how much money you have or even your background doesn't matter. But we still need the kids to practice hard and work hard. You know?
Now, during the practicing and the working hard. So tell me about these, now you told me about the kids. Tell me about the karts themselves, What makes them special? I mean, why, I've watched the movie, you know, Go-Kart. It was an Australian movie, you know, just recently. And
yeah, I missed that one. Actually.
Yeah, our entire team was kind of mesmerized, and we all wanted to go-karting after that movie. But you know, we saw it, you know what I mean? And we noticed that these go-karts, you know what I mean? I really don't know much about the go-karts. You know, back when I was growing up, we used to throw like lawnmower engines on a frame and then, you know, try to make them go, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, quote unquote, our version of a go-kart. So what makes this different than the run-of-the-mill go-kart that you see at like Kong or some other place?
Well, all the karts we have here are from Italy, produced in Italy by a manufacturer called Tony Kart. And they're top of the line karts. So also the kids in Europe in the highest tier of racing, they use the exact same kart, the same engine, we call a mini rock engine. We bring them over here, we ship them here, we import them. So it's really as good as you get in the world of karting.
Really? And they're not the same as like a motorcycle engine or anything, right?
No, they're especially so with the kids we use a 60cc air-cooled engine.
Okay.
And they're specially made, you know, there are factories and different manufacturers too, who are only producing engines, just go-karts now, only for this kind of sport and kind of market. It's not anymore like maybe what you say. It still happens sometimes. People get like a Honda lawnmower engine and they put it on a go-kart. It works, but we want to make sure that the weight, the characteristic is the perfect way to train these kids to hopefully get them a head start for a further career, you know. So when they go overseas and they got a race even maybe higher, that at least they have the right material already.
Oh, fair enough. Now, how fast do these go-karts go?
So the Mini Rock, which we use with the Singha Kart Cup, they're on the top speed, they're around 85 kilometers an hour.
85 kilometers an hour, that's roughly about what, 50 miles an hour?
Yeah, that's I think a little more, but
I'm
50, not that good with
50
the
to
miles
55
and the,
miles an hour around there. Well, that's pretty quick.
That is quick for like
For being
a 7-year-old.
Yeah, for being a couple inches off the ground, that's pretty quick. So how dangerous is this?
Well, definitely
for a 7 to 10-year-old, I mean, you know, 50 miles an hour, that's...
Definitely there is a chance of getting hurt, like in many other sports. The kids are well equipped with a strong racing suit, helmet, neck brace, gloves, racing shoes, so they're pretty well protected. But there is still risk of getting hurt.
Right.
However, I always say, because that's the first question I get when I race, like, oh, it must be very dangerous. And I said, luckily the motorsport is one of the few sports which gets safer every year. Because the governing bodies, they're trying to make more like protection around the car, they improve the circuits, the equipment, so step by step it's getting better.
Nice. Well, that's good, because, you know, if I had a child, you know, if I had a child that was 8 to 10, 7 to 10 years old, you know what I mean? And then, you know, going to Family Fun Center or Boomers, you know, I mean, most of these kids that are watching this interview are not going to know what Family Fun Center is because you weren't born in time, you know. Nowadays they call Boomers, okay? They got go-karts there. And those go-karts are the, you know, the pull go-karts, you know what I mean? It's like, they don't go any more than like, maybe like 30 miles an hour, you know, 25, 30 miles an hour. That's as fast as it goes. You know, and already, you know, we're just like sitting there like holding on to our lives. You're talking about a 7-year-old in a 55 mile per hour vehicle going around twists and turns and competing with other things like this. Tell me about their parents. What kind of parents do you see with these kids that allow their kids to do the go-karts? I mean, parents must be. Do they know that there's a risk, or are they?
I'm sure they know. I also think that what we're trying to do, we emphasize a lot of safety, especially because you feel very responsible. Some of the parents, they have racing background before, so they know the sport, and usually when you're in a sport and it has this image about dangerous, it's actually relatively safe.
Right, because you're careful, you're precautious.
We have all the safety measurement in place, but of course you can still get hurt, like you can get on the football pitch or falling off a horse. With the speed, for sure, there is an increased risk. Or there's some people who always laughed, you know, like cars or watching racing, and they want to give their son or daughter, because we're also rooting, obviously, to have a lot of girls joining the sport. To try and have a go at it. And I always said, especially with these kids, the most important thing is that they have fun. They don't get pressured of their parents, and that's what we try to really kind of overlook as well. And what I said, I'm grateful to my parents who put me on a go-kart, because they gave me the chance of a lifetime, and I can make my dream come true, becoming a professional racer.
Cool.
So,
I mean, you're doing just great.
I don't think those parents are kind of adrenaline junkie, which are irresponsible. I don't see them going around, but for sure they know, they're aware there is a risk of getting hurt, and that's why we try to teach these kids to be fair. You know, you can race hard, but be fair and.
Nice. Now, are there a lot of females that enter the go-karts as the years progress? more girl involvement?
I think, especially in Europe, I see a lot more coming. I
What
think
about in Thailand?
in Asia, it's still taking some time. In Thailand, we're pretty lucky that we started with the Singha Kart Cup a few years ago, and we had a girl even winning the series there.
Nice.
And she's still racing on a very high level, Mini. And throughout those years, I think that kind of inspires girls to come on board. Only here we don't have a separate girls, women's ranking.
No, they should be.
So they just race.
Yeah.
And one of the things is sometimes physically, because the karts are pretty heavy to turn, and especially in Thailand the heat is incredibly. Sometimes physically it's really tough for them, but the good ones they'll be as good as the boys. Actually, in my career, I was coached by a woman from Sweden who at her time was beating Formula 1 in go-kart. Were beating Formula 1 drivers like Jensen Button, maybe you heard of him, and Jarno Trulli. So I was coached actually by a woman how to race. So
nice.
And she was one of the best in the world at her time. So
when I played tennis growing up, and I was coached by Miss Virginia. I never got a chance to get her last name, but she was the women's coach at Wimbledon, and that was my coach, for tennis when I was growing up. But so now that I know a little bit about more of the karts, the people, like that, tell me about yourself. How did you get here? How are you in Thailand, and how are you at Sing, and how are you, how did you combine all that together and your race karting, and you're here with me now? How did this happen?
Yeah, long story short, so I raced, I'm still racing professionally in the GT3 class with a Ferrari, with the Singha Motorsport team. But like these kids, I went through a career myself through go-kart. I started winning European championships with guys like Lewis Hamilton, Vettel, what I said, racing them. Ended up going to Formula 3 class, which is like a junior single-seater, to be just like a feeder series to Formula 1. And eventually I got a call to go and race in Japan for Toyota and Honda there as a professional driver. And meanwhile, I got a lot of requests about doing individual coaching around the region, but especially in Thailand. And I kept coming back here, and eventually I started getting the request of Singha Corporation to start coaching for them, for their racers, and also advise them on trying to build a real karting and motorsport platform, which we have been doing the last few years.
Nice. We at UnME Motorsports here, we're really big on the new generation, the Gen Zs, Gen Y, Gen Alphas, and most importantly are the ones that are overseas. And most of the time, people that live overseas, they don't get to see how we really live here in Thailand. They don't know. Some of them think that we're still on cots, on the side of the river, like that. Some of them don't know that we have actually everything that they have in modernized countries. We in fact are a very modernized country in that matter as well. It's just that, we see things, we haven't had a chance to kind of unify everyone. So that's why I really, really appreciate, you talking with me today, because it gives me something to tell them. I'm showing them what we're doing here. I'm showing them what you're doing. I'm showing them that, with a lot of work, hard work and effort, you can have anything you'd like. If you like motorsports, this is a good place to start. Go-karts. As I was talking to you earlier, we were talking about cars. We were talking about, racing, the GT3 and whatnot. And then in the beginning of the section, I'm talking about hey, how does the go-karts, equate to this? And you've answered all that. Basically you start at the go-kart, you see where you lie, you see where you stand, you see how you like it, and then you kind of evolve, into, a race car driver with the mindset, of a perfect, race car driver. You're just moving the mechanism. You're just moving from go-karts to a car, and then from a car to a supercar, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I feel that this is very educational.
So I think this is especially what has been lacking in Thailand, but around Asia as well. They start over the past 10, 15 years, they start to attract Formula 1 races, both in Malaysia, Singapore. They did announce Vietnam initially, of course Japan, China. So they get the pinnacle of motorsport in the region, but the grassroots was not ready.
Right.
So it was a bit like an impossible dream for a lot of kids seeing those F1 cars in their area,
Yeah.
but not really having a platform to show themselves. And I think what we're trying to do, and we're partly achieving on that, is trying to get out of the shadow and that give Thai kids the real belief, not only a dream, but give them the belief that when you start here, one day you can succeed as an international race driver.
What? That is actually an interesting point, because in Thailand as of right now, I believe that our most advanced setup, we're set up for F3, right? Our most, we're not really set up for an F1 yet, right?
No, the circuit, theoretically you could run the Formula One race at the Buriram,
Yeah.
but I think Formula One is just based on, it's not so much about the technical of the circuit, it's more about how much money is involved. You know,
Yeah.
because they race these cars in Monaco,
Yeah.
which is like a street circuit.
Yeah.
So it's more about all the commercial interest than only the circuit itself,
Yeah.
or the setup.
Do we have any plans, like would Singha have any plans to integrate the go-karts and have them go up to like the F3s? I mean, do we have
Well,
any program like that?
Definitely, we already supported some other drivers in the past who are raced Formula 3 and Formula 2, which is just
Yeah.
right below Formula 1. Then we had the last 2 years we had Alex Albon, Thai driver with the Red Bull Formula 1 team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he had to step aside for this year, but at least it gives a lot of inspiration for these kids.
Yeah.
So we will definitely try to support wherever we can. You know, times are tough, but wherever we can to get more Thai drivers already to race in Europe,
Okay.
even with in go-kart, and hopefully they're good enough to advance, but it's not all in our hands, obviously.
Well, speaking of advancement, I've already taken up your lunchtime, your entire lunchtime. You have a tournament that you have to manage. So I am going to cut it as of right now, right? That I want to say thank you on behalf of We Motorsports and UnME Digital Magazine for taking the time and giving us the knowledge that we've been yearning for. You know, we need this. And you know, Mr. Carlo, it's been an honor to talk to you. You know, and best of luck. You know, with whatever endeavor that you're going to be doing here. Would you like any final words to say to our audience, to people, to the kids out there? What would you like to?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you guys at We Motorsport to give a platform as well to show what we're doing here, because this is really important. You know, like in terms of media attention, you know, it's not the most known sport, and we really need all the audience online, you know, through social media. We have our own Facebook page, like the Singha Kart Cup, and even the Rock Cup Thailand, which is another of our series, where we have live stream. So all the kids who are looking here, they can also just watch our races, and even by watching you already learn a lot. And I hope that a lot of, especially the kids, but also the parents, say, hey, I want to go and check this out and come at Bira and maybe one day race yourself. So hope to see most of you here one day.
All right. So from us, me, Ramba, with We Motorsport, and Mr. Carlo Van Damme, we'd like to say thank you for sitting through, and thank you for having us again. And have a good night or a good day, and then we'll see you next time. This concludes our edition of. I forgot again what our name of our program is. Cool. We Stories. There you go.